Like, what does that look like? Because you talk about the price of oil spiking. I mean, what if this goes on for another 6 months, God forbid?
Yeah, what happens if it goes on for 6 months?
Yeah, I'm really glad you said all those things, because there's a few things that people confuse around me trying to explain things and people interpreting it through their own lens. This is not Trump's plan. This is not Q. This is not trust the plan. This is not a genius. You know, Trump is the press secretary for his lobbies and greater powers.
He's the manager of the Burger King.
Now,
yes. Yes, sorry.
Exactly. Now, do the greater powers, financial industrial complex, technical industrial complex, military industrial complex, have a plan? Yes, they hedge for every outcome. They use derivatives market. They launch military operations. They try and get the resources. They have a business plan around the Build Back Better and the Forever War. And they know that if you can usher in law changes for a technical Orwellian, technocratic surveillance state nightmare, then they've hedged every outcome. If this ends up in civil unrest, then the technical industrial complex creates a police and surveillance state. If they manage to achieve peace in the Middle East and get a deal, then the financial industrial complex gets all the Build Back Better contracts. If this all fails and IRGC resists to the point where this goes out of control, then you effectively have the Forever War model and you rebuild all these military contracts. So mass weapons are being sold, for defense, missile interceptors. And so BlackRock, as it were, State Street and Vanguard, the asset managers, they're okay, whatever happens. Now, you are right. Once you hit a point of $200 oil, you hit massive demand destruction. What is the model when you have demand destruction? Exactly what they did during the Great Depression of the 1930s. You consolidate wealth, just like the 2008 financial crisis. Get a big print, socialize the losses, privatize the gains, send all the small businesses bankrupt, send the individuals bankrupt, and try and put them on some kind of universal basic income.
No, you're 100%
There is a three-tiered strategy.
FDR
so
did
whatever
that.
the outcome is, they're going to concentrate wealth in the West. What is the resistance against that? This is the irony of the whole thing. Who's really draining the swamp right now? The factions of the IRGC that we would call the hardliners. They're resisting against the plan. They're taking out the US military bases. They're effectively pushing the Gulf countries away from the Epstein class over towards, China and BRICS.
Right.
And they're effectively fighting for that multipolar world, as it were.
In that spirit,
so they are draining the swamp.
Yeah,
they are actually draining the swamp. They are taking on the deep state. Remember, the dollar is backed by the deep state. If you break the deep state, you break the Japan carry trade, the petrodollar, and the euro dollar, which means that America is shrunk into a regional power. And so taking on the deep state is what props up the dollar, and IRGC are taking on the deep state. Where does IRGC get its power from? Obviously from Russia and China. They're getting intelligence fed through. They've got asymmetric weapons set up with drones and missiles that make essentially big, expensive equipment that the US military were profiting from irrelevant. Now, of course, you can inflict damage on them. But what happens every time you hit an infrastructure? You push the price of oil up. Now, who benefits from the price of oil and gas going up? Russia as a sovereign state, Iran as a sovereign state, and American private big oil, big LNG, and the World Economic Forum agenda that wants a technocratic surveillance state where you will own nothing and be happy. Trump is delivering it for them to perfection. And the reason I think he's a blithering idiot is because they don't know what's going to happen. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And he's being told what to do next, and he's trying to communicate that.
They very clearly, they run these people. They're all empty suits. It's like you said, like he's the press secretary. In reality, I compare all these people to like managers of various fast food restaurants, and they may be the person that gives the checkout. They may be the person in the photo with the apron, but we all know the truth. We know the reality. They work for the people with the money, and I think that's what you so excellently break down.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next.